We have one commissioner that stepped out for a second, but I think all are present and accounted for. We will move to item 3, which is the approval of minutes from July 11th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brasted.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schulte. Any changes, additions, subtractions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those meeting minutes are adopted. We'll move on to 4, which is chair's remarks. I have none at this time. Item 5, consider resolution 2023-3, Anoka County Regional Rail Authority proposed budget and proposed tax levy for program year 2024. Dee.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, Dee Goodman, Executive Director for Regional Rail. Today I bring you a budget. This is the same one that we reviewed last month. There has been no changes. We are looking at a net change to the levy of 100% going down because we are not levying any for 2023. We are no longer in 2023 going to be responsible for the operating costs for North Star. And with that, that has changed our ongoing budget by considerable amount. There are basically 2 pieces left in our budget let me get this out here. We have 2 pieces left, and those are $1.8 million in debt service payment, and then we also have $278,000 that covers our management costs, which would be salaries, space allocations, expense allocations, and things like that. So those are the only 2 pieces that are left in our budget as we look at 2023. So we're asking for 0% levy on that, no increase. We're not pulling any money out of reserves except to pay for the amount that we have, which is 2.139.
Okay. Peter, this might be the first time that there's a minus 100% in the history of government, Peter. Peter.
He's writing frantically.
Okay. If we can get a symbol in the front for a picture, it's the first time I've ever seen this. Okay. Is there any discussion on this? Is there Commissioner Meissner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and just for transparency, so I had a quick discussion with Dee, and again, I'm still trying to follow the process and the money and the procedures around this. So I understand that, right, we voted for past budgets, but there's this 2.5 million kind of floating out there that is in question. So thanks to Dee, what I would like to propose, Mr. Chair, is that we put it on an agenda in a management meeting to talk about that 2.5 that's floating out there from years past and that debatable amount. So
you're talking about the 2.5 million that
they
Metro Transit believes are owed to them.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair, I can just break that up and add a little bit behind it. So in 2022, it was decided during that budget process that we would pay a 1.9. That's the previous amount we paid in 2021 also.
Yep.
In paying that amount, Met Transit still sees us as owing about 1.139. And in 2023, they have forecasted, they actually just decreased this a little while ago, down to 1.4. So they see us as still owing a payment of 2.594. Is what they're asking for. Now, we did have 2, the budgets have come through. We did approve for 1.9 to be paid for the last 2 years. What we're approving today is to pay 2023 and what is our debt service and then the cost of it. This discussion of if we do or don't still owe could come before a management committee.
Okay. I believe the last vote we took on this was full and final, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And I don't know that we need to get into the details that they've absolutely torpedoed the line by reducing it 77.4% or whatever the amount was, 71.4, 77 something. And the ridership has tanked and the line has, largely been disemboweled, you might say. That being said, or eviscerated is a good word too. Well, whatever the case is, it's not functional. And so the thought, this notion that we owe them $2.5 million on a service contract after they reduced it is beyond ridiculous. And certainly if they want to pursue us, we're standing by. I guess that's my position on the matter. Commissioner Schulte.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer the resolution today.
Okay, there's an offer of the resolution, and we're in discussion now. Commissioner Meissner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, and I understand, your position on this. I do, again, want to discuss that because now with the legislative change, we are no longer responsible for operating costs. If there is any way to compromise, figure out how we can, not have lawsuits and all this other stuff that happened in the past with news articles and things like that. Again, the how we do things is just as important as the why, and so I do want to discuss that. So that is what I'm asking to discuss in a management meeting.
Well, we will discuss that in a management meeting, given any sort of correspondence from them on it, but short of that, I think it's exercise in futility, so. Any further comments? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Dee, could, and I'm sorry, maybe you explained this and I just went over my head. Regional rail expenses for 2024 are at 2.1 million.
Yes, correct.
So what is in that?
What is in that is 1.8 is our bond service payment.
Okay,
And that will be, we are coming up on paying that off in 2027.
and the rest is salary.
Yep, and the rest is salary, 278,000, which covers myself, Brenda, our attorney's fees, and some of the other things that we
Okay,
have.
so there's no issue then, because we are not doing the property tax levy in 2024, and we're not doing the transportation tax in 2024, but we'll have enough money to get us to 2027.
Yes, we will. That's all taken care of, and in fact, in paying off our debt service each year, we'll be able to pay that off, and we have a balance in regional rail of about 4.1 million. That will need to be used, we kind of clarified it at the last meeting, for safety or rail improvements.
So just one last on this. So then the salary issue
Yes.
returns to admin completely.
As of right now, I was like, "Oh, I don't know about that. So that will be a consideration. If regional rail continues on, I think we need to have some costs associated with it because there's discussion and things happen. But that would be a shift, right? So I'm not going to say how much you want to fire me, but yeah, I need to be attached to somewhere. I will say the old thought was over the past couple, I would say 10 years, we used to take a lot of admin salaries and apply them to our areas of work where we work, HRA, regional rail, things like that. But we have slowly been pulling those salaries within administration, so they're not dependent on something like regional rail. If regional rail goes away, would I have other work to do? Gotcha. And I'm going to say a firm yes on that.
Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would suggest that for regional rail to go away, somebody'd have to pull up all the railroad tracks in our county. I don't see that happening. We've got railroad tracks here for life. I think we need a regional rail to address future, whether that's expansion, whether it's minimalization, whatever BNSF and the Met Council and whoever operates on those tracks chooses to do. I think we need to have a rail authority in place and an administration at some level able to respond at a reasonable time. So just speaking to the future, I don't think we should think about a dissolution of that and drawing it all back into administration. I think we need to have a separate entity set up we'll always have a railroad authority is my assumption. And I hope we'd have an administration able to deal with that swiftly.
Well, Commissioner Schulte, I had a glimmer of hope that I might retire as chair, but after that comment, I'm not sure that that's possible, so. Any other comments? Commissioner Mash.
I appreciate Commissioner Schulte's comments because I kind of didn't really think about that, but now you start thinking about Stearns County has a regional rail authority, and they don't. That train doesn't get there, but they have other tracks. So I guess that is something. So, but we don't look at the future as saying we're going to need to have more of the taxes collected as we have had to do under North Star.
Right, right.
So there's not going to be any expenses.
Our only expense was, our large expense was debt service and operating. Now, part of that is going away, and debt service has been taken care of through the planning with finance that is completed in 2027. So both are large pieces of payments are both going away. Yep. I do have to, I did have a call, we have a monthly call with all the other previous CTIM members in a meeting. We review where every train line, blue, green, and gold, and also North Star, where they're at, where bus service is at. Every other service has seen an increase, a steady increase since pre-pandemic. Right now, they have called North Star an anomaly, and it is not increasing. So that is being seriously reviewed right now. It will be interesting to see once they take over operating, what that does mean and what they might do to the service. So that was actually brought up at my last meeting on last Friday this is a question mark. North Star is a question mark right now because it is not bouncing back like they thought it would.
And I will, before I go to Commissioner Brasted, I want to say that, first of all, anomaly is a nice word to say. But then secondly, that if we do have a skeleton type of crew on Regional Rail Authority or whatever the case is, we have the balance of dollars available to kind of pay for that portion of it left in the bank account. Commissioner Brasted.
Mr. Chair, am I correct in thinking that any regional rail levy we could also use as for like bridges that go over? So we're looking at a tremendous improvement in that bridge down in Columbia Heights that connects East River Road and Main Street. On transportation, we've heard about the work that is going to need to be done on this. Wondering if we shouldn't be thinking ahead and perhaps utilizing some of these dollars in, saving them in anticipation for that bridge replacement.
So you're saying in lieu of the sales tax dollars that we collect that we would normally use on that bridge for as far as county participation, you're saying the 1.4 million left over, we should be 1.51, sorry?
4.1.
2.59 total, isn't it?
What's that?
Well, you're saying using our balance, which is 4.1 million.
Well,
4.1.
just that conversation, it would be another bucket to draw from because this is going to be the most expensive bridge project that we will have ever seen in Anoka County.
Well, we can certainly, I think, if it's going over railroad tracks, very similar to Sunfish and Ramsey Boulevards, it's applicable for those type of funds. So whether we use those funds or we use the sales tax funds or whatever dollars we have coming in now, which are significant for transportation-related projects, I think we'll have flexibility on that. Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, in the past, it was critical that North Star ran underneath that bridge to use those transit tax dollars to do that. That changed a little bit with legislation where I think now it just has to be in the 5-year transportation plan. Then we can use those dollars for those type of projects. So that would now mean Bunker Lake Boulevard over the rail, even though North Star doesn't run up that line, it could still be used for something like
It's
that.
in the 5-year, yeah. So it would need to get into that 5-year if it isn't already.
Has to be in the 5-year plan.
All right, any other comments? There's an offer of the resolution. I assume you're ready to vote. Let's do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brasted,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. And Dee, if there's nothing else to come before our committee,
I do not.
we will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
100% reduction. Congratulations.
I don't know. We should probably have a train cake to eat that.